Hello. Welcome. Welcome. Hello, is this thing on? Who
I believe
there?
so.
Who there approacheth in the distance? It is our dear listener.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Welcome to another episode of Always Strikes
Um,
Late. We've got
yeah,
we've
that
got
one.
a very confused Jack here. We let him out from fatherly duties, and you know it it's taken its toll on
It's
him,
true.
as you're
I've
gonna hear.
stumbled into a rift between the bottles and the soiled diapers, much like a sadder version of Lion Witch in the Wardrobe with
You
fewer
do look
Christian overtones.
well rested,
Yeah,
for the record.
Thank you.
he's got the hero shot because the camera's positioned underneath, right? So
Oh,
that
perfect.
that
Right.
provides that level of authority from a
It's very true.
cinematography
Like
stance.
this laptop is always weird, and it has proven to be a
It's shaving
foundation stone
years,
of
you know.
yeah, of my success. Force perspective being what it is. But I have made it, everyone. And here we are for another exciting episode of Always Strikes Late with our guests and hosts, Alex and Mason, to tell us about things they have done in the wild, tournament things,
A few
things
things.
on different sides of the wall and the
Mhm.
fall of Berlin.
Hey, we got
Nailed
the
it.
secret
We
words
made
in.
it.
We got the secret words
It's like
in.
Pee-wee's Playhouse. Ah!
There will be an air horn in like the post-production After Effects.
Perfect. Okay.
It's always over promising, and I have to do the mixing. Dang it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Um,
But yeah, this last weekend we went and did the Pacific Northwest Masters tournament
mhm.
in Seattle for the first time, which was kind of wild.
It was a
Um,
blast.
yeah, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah. So this was it's a local thing that we all compete for all year long, and as you do local tournaments, depending on how you place, you get a certain amount of points, and I think it's like your best five that they
Yep,
use.
that's the top
Mhm.
five.
Yeah, get you into the rankings, and then they invite the best three people, the best three people from different regions within our Pacific Northwest like master region, and then from then on out, it's the next top qualified folks down to the top 24, at least for this year.
Mhm.
Um, got
Yep.
invited. Yeah.
Also note that the Pacific Northwest won the team's national, so this is the best of the best
Yep.
playing in this invite-only tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no easy regional backwater. No,
No.
this is a cutthroat soup.
Right. Due to some unfortunate circumstances and stuff, there only ended up being 20 on the day. There were like four night of or day of uh drops due
Well, oh
to
no on that.
yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, unfortunate, just kind of all slightly different circumstances. But
But everyone's
um
okay.
yeah,
Yep.
everyone's groovy. Yeah.
Which is good to hear.
Yeah. But yeah, so there was only 20 of us, but it was really awesome. It was a really chill to do it. We've done quite a few tournaments now at the VFW there in Seattle, and it was
Mhm.
way nicer to have it be half as many people and to have way more table space, and we had music going, and it was not loud and not
Yeah.
crazy hot, and it was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I could totally see that. Just like a little bit more elbow room, also with the pomp and circumstance of you guys being the elect of the scene, so
There
that
were like
you place with your armies and stuff.
there were full-on conversations happening between cross games, and even though like we were playing on chess clocks, like everyone was just kind of like there to hang out with each other,
Hmm.
but
Wait,
also
wait,
like
wait.
understanding that we're here to like play a really fast, really tight Warhammer.
See, that's a really interesting thing. I mean, obviously, we've talked at length in different episodes, right, about all the controversies around chess clocks this year, or just the ideas about them in general.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of both relaxed and everyone's there with like a good energy, but universal chess clock usage.
Yeah,
That
it was
is,
mandatory. Every game had to have a chess clock.
Yeah.
Uh,
I will say that was a little loose though, because I really didn't even use a chess clock. So like But to be fair, I told them that I wasn't gonna, and
Mhm.
none of my opponents really asked me to. Against Chris, Jeremy set it up for us and we kind of used it. And I'm like, I don't know, halfway through the game, he was like, "Oh man, we haven't really been doing this very well." And I was like, "Oh dude, I don't care about that at all. I have no idea what's happening over there. Let's just keep playing our game." Like,
I guess it's
um,
always fine if you guys make it through the round. It's only if you were like down
Oh
to
yeah.
like,
Hmm.
the wire and it was bottom of
yeah,
turn one or something.
Yeah.
That would
yeah,
be a challenge.
right,
I think out of all the games that happened, maybe 1 to 2 games went to like quote unquote time,
right.
which is actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good actually.
And one of the rounds, everyone was done in like less than 2 hours or something.
Oh yeah. It's like
Wild.
round four, my round four game, we'd finished in 45 minutes, and the guy went to go to like grocery shop for his like groceries for the week. He's like, I have 3 hours to spare. He's like, I'm just gonna go to the Costco. Do you need anything? I'm gonna go grocery shopping.
That's the way to do it, right? Two birds,
Yeah,
one stone.
yeah, it was fun. But yeah, and so yeah, not only was it a super tough tournament, but tons of camaraderie and, lots of good spirits. And all of us have gone to tournaments with one another all year long, right? For multiple
Hmm.
years
Oh
in some
yeah.
instances, right? So in some ways it's cool, but it's going to be folks that you've played. It's going to be all tough matches. Like everyone there is a very strong player and a contender. I would say honestly, just on a separate note, I think the level of skill and competitiveness, air quote, right? Um, um, has gone up across our community like wholesale, right? I think that
100%.
that everyone is
Yeah.
playing at a much higher level than when I started. And so I don't know if that's like, there's just more dedication to the game now, or if the game's easier, or who knows, right? It's a fact, lots of different factors. But yeah, it's cool that we have such awesome competition up here.
And
Iron sharpens iron.
yep. And it's friendly iron too, right? Like I don't
Right.
think there's a single game that I've played lately in a competitive tournament, which I have not been able to get that many in this past season, but like where I hadn't learned something or hadn't had like a great conversation and like got in depth on a rule. I think last Sparkle Party Alex and I like got to the bottom of an insane rules interaction, right? So like but that's only through like friendliness that kind of
Oh
stuff is
yeah.
happening too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the energy you want for sure. Good to have
Mhm.
both, and often something we celebrated right about our community. That you kind
Yep.
of can have that where sometimes in other popular games, workshop games, it is rare.
The cool thing I will say about the Pacific Northwest Age of Sigmar community is it's we've been going to tournaments for so many years now together that in between rounds, everyone's just talking about each other's families and like we're at Christmas time. It's like, hey, how's your family doing for Christmas? What are you guys doing? How's your kids? So and so, and it's bigger than just like showing up to a tournament. It's being hanging out with your friends for an entire weekend, catching up and seeing what's in each other's lives. Like us with from Seattle with the Portland crew or the Canadians come down. It's something special that I really hope that other parts of the country or even world their metas get to experience someday because, you know, it's bigger than just the game for us, I feel. I
Yeah.
think
That,
everyone can
that's
attest
an
that.
It's
That's an
very much
interesting
community.
thing. Yeah. I mean, and also great to hear about it. And maybe for listeners out there, a fun future episode idea for all of us, I'll throw it out here right now, is just like the regional nuance there. Because I do think like the feeling of the metas has to be really different. The way you guys describe that, bit different from what I experienced up here in the, New England area, but we also are pretty vibrant and healthy and cool dynamic, like with the Wicked Dicey crew
Yeah.
and our tough crowd neighbors to the south and parts thereabouts, and
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
guys and ladies from Connecticut. It's real fun to kind of see how that all comes together. And I'm sure that you could take any one of the little kind of micro zones we have in the country and or farther abroad to get the same sort of stories, but it would be cool to hear about them from players
Actually,
in each area.
fun story about that. I flew out to Old Town Throwdown Teams event last
Hmm.
weekend, and some guy named I'm gonna shout him out, Michael, watcher of this show, actually saw that I was playing in Old Town Teams. found me in my round 2, walked up, wanted to introduce himself to me, and told me that I helped him become a better Khorne player
That's
because of this
awesome.
show.
That's
That's
so
Oh,
awesome.
that
And
is amazing.
it
Michael,
was,
thank you for doing that. That
Yeah.
I
was
had a
awesome.
bunch of dice. I had all my dice that Matt has given me. And I just gave them to him. Was like, gave him a big hug. We took a picture. It was cool. So shout out Michael.
that's awesome.
Oh,
That
You
is
know,
throw that up
fantastic.
in the Discord, man. I want to see that.
I
Yeah.
had a similar experience at World. Somebody came up to me and said that they listened to the video on cities and that they learned a lot and they were um, playing it themselves and kind of exploring what to do, and that was really cool. I
That's
also ran
awesome.
into the I don't know if you guys navigate YouTube, Warhammer content, but there's these guys out of the Philippines, I think, called Wartilio. I think I said that
They're cool.
correctly.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
don't know him.
And one of the guys from the crew, I'm so terrible with names, went to Worlds and I met him while we were there and we hung out and said hello a few times and then he happened to be on the same flight out of Atlanta as me.
Oh,
Um,
that's
Nice.
super awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
that's neat.
We should see if we could cross the streams with them. Like, make that
That'd be
happen. That'd
fun.
be
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
fun. I'd
Yeah.
be
probably
down for
so.
that.
Yeah. And I know they're trying to get some kind of like um Asian Pacific regional kind of situation going. I met a guy named Boggy also from Serbia. But he's like working and living in Thailand, Philippines area. Sorry, I'm so terrible with that stuff. But all very close and so they're trying to organize something so they can like kind of combine that area and make like a regional event and grow that. It's a much vaster region, kind of, but
I mean,
Still real cool.
real cool
community's the
stuff.
best.
Yeah.
Community's the
Community's the
best,
best.
man.
Well,
But do we want to dive into our recap,
yeah,
Mason?
Do
I
Yeah, I
it.
think
want
you
to hear
guys
it.
should. All the
I want
listeners
to
want
hear
to hear
about
about
this
You
it.
know what?
awesomeness.
I want to say something before we start, though, about the event. It was really interesting gearing up for this because we talked about how competitive and friendly the environment is, and people are like bringing like every single list, I think, was like gas, right? Like everyone was bringing heat to this event. However, I felt like I was in kind of a weird spot because I had just come back from Atlanta.
Mhm.
I had played Beast of Chaos there, and I had played it at Matt's tournament prior. So I was
Hmm.
conflicted where I was like, shit, I don't know if I really want to play this army a third time. Like, it's not really what I was doing, right? I
Hmm.
broke my double up because I was going to Worlds, and so it felt like it was fine for that. So I was like not wanting to play Beast of Chaos, even though I still there was no meta shift. So I still think it was probably a better list than what I took, but it was
Mhm.
I didn't want to do that, but also I thought to myself, like, man, of all the tournaments all year long, this one actually has like some of the least implications beyond the bragging rights to say, the PNW master.
Hmm.
That
Because
makes sense. You
there's
could kind
like,
of take whatever you wanted, Mason. You don't have to like really hone it in. You don't have to like really make a tough choice between the best to go and the rest to go. You can.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly, exactly. So with that, I was like, okay, I still want to try, but I'm gonna keep going down my list. I've got stuff to play and I've got, lists to do. So I decided to go knee-jerk reaction. Probably nobody expected me to submit this. Maybe Alex, it like
I
12
Can
sure
people.
can
didn't.
can I guess what it is before you
You
Yeah,
tell us what it
posted
you
is?
it, and
can.
I was like, really?
Did you go with my all
Seriously?
scrap launcher ogre list?
No,
Damn it.
no, I should have though.
Someone
Yeah.
will.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I went with like a Hero Hammer Sylvaneth
Hmm.
list.
Okay,
Playing
that's
So
trees, smoking trees.
yep, exactly. And that's exactly what I said when I posted it. So, um,
the
and
Lorax
I
list
was,
is
yeah,
amazing.
I kept held true to that. And so, but yeah, it was fun. It was a monster mash with like Alariel, Belthanos, the Warsong Revenant. I had Callus and Toll, and then 6 bows. So, like very, very slim, but tricksy,
Yep.
lots of crazy stuff.
A
But
lot
yeah,
of
Thick,
damage.
thick
right.
list.
Yeah.
Lot of damage.
It went pretty good. It was fine. It was good. They're off the list, so there's that. So, um,
So walk us through
Alex,
it.
what'd you play? Oh, you
What
want
would
me
you
to?
guys? Oh no, both of you. You guys
I want
fight it
Alex
out.
to say it.
Fight
Oh
it
yeah,
out.
Alex, how did
I
you settle on the
played
list? Like
I keep telling myself to try to convince myself to play something other than Corn, but I
never
literally can
do.
pilot Corn in my sleep. Yeah, I keep saying it. Mason knows all the time. I say it all the time. I'm not gonna play Corn anymore. I'm gonna play something else. I'm gonna play my OBR. I'm gonna play Slaves of Darkness. I'm gonna do something meta. But I keep going back to Corn. They're just my true love, and I'm number one in the rankings for fourth edition right now for Corn. So I just want to keep I want to keep that for the rest of the season, and then maybe after LVO we'll see. Knock on wood for tomorrow. I've been hearing rumors of buffs, but I really like my list that I played at Matt's tournament, Feast of Blades. So I took the same list. I felt like I only really have like 1 to 2 bad matchups, and like my like so and so like quote unquote like red yellow matchups, like a lot of those I'm just a coin flip on because so many people don't know how to play against a competent corn player.
Hmm.
And
And
I felt fine going into Masters.
this is where I interject and say, go back and listen to that episode. But really, you can find it easily. Do the like, subscribe, yada 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 to get to that
Mhm.
episode. But I'm also like the person who would never do that on YouTube. I will find it eventually, like 3 months later by happenstance after I've gone through all the YouTube videos or the podcast episodes or whatever. So for
That's a
the people
that's
who
a good show.
may not have heard of it, what's the list that you brought?
So I played Cornate Legion, which is the weird back sub faction where if a demon fights, I can chain activate a mortal. Blood Warriors are very strong right now. They're
So good.
really 3 up armor save, 2 wounds. Uh, biggest boogeyman, Night Haunt, Stormcast. They're very good into those matchups.
Hmm.
Double Bloodthirster. I played Scarbrand. I actually rolled a lot of sixes this time, which was great.
Love to see it.
I chunked a lot of people. Um, bunch of chaff. Just random, dog units, Claws of Karnak, and then another Bloodthirster on Fetter Fury, and then my main man, Skull Taker. I
Skull
love
Taker, the
Skull
best man.
Taker.
I'm not gonna lie, and I'm still just kind of like triumphant every time now when you talk about Blood Warriors, because that was the first thing that I zeroed in on when we were looking
Yeah.
at the corn list. I was like, they're so good. And I'm
They
happy
weren't
they're
very
good.
good at 220 what they were, but now at 200, they're very good. And
Let's
if they
get them
go
to
to
170 and we're cooking with gas, baby.
we're
Oof.
cooking with gas if
I'm
they go to 170, 180 tomorrow.
just a
Woo!
3 and up save and 2 wounds is good to me. I'm living in 5 up save land, man. That's where I live.
Alex, I'm curious though, how many bloodthirsters did you summon or revive over the weekend?
I summoned him my first game. He didn't die my second game. I want to say 4. At least 4 of my games are brought him back.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's pretty good out of 5 games in the tournament,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Good
It's
number
Does it
of
still
summons
cost
there.
8?
it costs 8, but it's so good because you could bring him anywhere outside of 9, and then immediately give himself 3d6 charge and just go in.
It's
Nice.
just so annoying, like just to screen against that or contemplate it all the time.
It's kind
Yeah.
of hard. I mean, the army doesn't have a lot of legs, like if I'm being real honest, but a lot of people just don't know how to play against it. Um,
And it has like great counters to anti-counter stuff, right?
yeah,
Like, oh, I'm
it's
sorry about your screens. They're gone now. Or like you were gonna charge me for that buff on your charge. Oh, that sucks for you. You know?
I
It's
look at it kind of like how fish are right, like a Deepkin are right now. Deepkin's a very counter meta army, but they're like a B tier army. Like that's how I kind of feel Corn is.
Hmm.
Uh, but they kind of counteract a little different. Like I'm very good against elite armies. Um, like I know how to play into like the Stormcast shoot cast Palador list, no problem. Let me fight Cav all day long. I don't care Because as long as I have that one blood tide, I can just murderless into them, and they lose all their cat bonuses essentially.
Murderlust is just, I mean, this praises cannot be sung enough, right? I mean, it's carried through editions. Just that feeling, that pure blue deck energy when you are murder
Oh
listed
yeah,
and your
it's
idea goes away.
It's like,
it's its best now than it's ever been, too.
yeah. So, anyways, we had 5 games in
5 games,
Masters,
2 days,
and
3 and 2.
mhm,
Our mission pack was actually kind of sweet. We played 5 very good missions, even though I want to say round 4, we almost started a coup to try to play Star Strike round 5. We started getting like a Star Strike chant, like, what if we all just protest, stop playing round 5, and just all agree to play Star Strike?
They can't fight the Union energy. You get the
Yeah,
Star
right.
Strike on
Yeah.
there. That would be great.
rise up, fight the man.
Spoiler, nobody played
right.
Star Strike.
No, yeah,
No,
no
it
one
didn't
wants
work.
Star Strike.
Fizzled.
Um,
The stars were not right. Sorry, guys.
yeah, before we dive into round 1, I do want to give a big shout out to Jeremy Cooper, for running everything. Jeremy is an amazing human,
Mhm.
um, even better friend. Yeah, shout out to him for running everything. I know 3 of us who all know him can't. It's hard to not speak highly of him.
Yeah, such a
For sure.
joyful dude, man. I've never met somebody so happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is
Jeremy's
Jeremy.
awesome.
Jeremy, which Jeremy?
Cooper.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Jeremy
I
Cooper.
don't think I know Jeremy Cooper personally, but I have.
Consistently throwing iron jaws further than you ever expect them to go.
That itself is a fine
He
testament to
brought
character.
Stormcast to play Ringer with, though.
What?
I know.
Well,
Mhm.
I guess he had to make sure that there was 400, not 399 Stormcast armies there, right?
For sure. For sure.
Nice. Well, all
Um,
right, guys, let's set the stage here. Is imagine like the lights are going on and smoky arena is filled. First round. What's the mission? What's the mission?
Oh,
we
goodness.
played what, Better Part of Valor?
That sounds right.
Okay, so better part of valor, and let's do the thing. How'd it go? Maybe.
Yeah,
Makes-
so round 1, I played Michael Toons, who was playing OBR. He was playing a bit more caster heavy OBR, I think I'd say, with Arkin, um, one of the little
Arkin, Catacross.
casters.
I think
Little
he has
bone
Catacross too,
guys.
right?
Okay.
No, I don't think he didn't have Catacross.
Mm.
He had 2 units of 2 of the Morghast guys, but the ones that
Archai.
have like a spell ignore.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the
I
Archive, right?
think. Yeah.
Yeah, the ones with two-handed weapons.
Yep.
Yeah. And then he had some horses, and catapult, maybe 2 catapults.
Two
I think it was 2 catapults.
2 catapults, yep.
Yeah. Man, those things are strong.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was a close game, but I got some really good charge angles off with my beetles and was able to like weather the damage from the catapults long enough with the Sylvaneth healing, to kind of like take down that front end. I killed Archon really early because I kind of pulled some weird shenanigans that kind of when he did seize the center on he like decided to take top of 1, which was very interesting.
Mhm.
And he went for seize the center, and I'm trying to remember what exactly I did. I put a tree like right in front of his face. Like I made it hard for stuff to move.
Mhm.
You're right. Maybe he did have Catacross.
I think he had Catacross. We had Charles on last night with
Yeah.
Marco and myself. He had Catacross,
I have his list right
2
here.
catapults, the little wizard dude on foot, Archon, and 2 Archai, Morghast Archai, I think.
Yeah.
Was that right, Alex?
Catacross, Death Riders, Archon,
That's what I was wondering.
Archai, Crawler, Ossifector by itself, the triple
Yeah.
drop.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So he took seize the center on the first turn. So I remember I countercast a tree like way up in his grill to be annoying for movement, right? Because there are parts of my trees you can walk on, but there are a lots of it that you can't walk on. And I know
Mhm.
Catacross isn't very fast and he's got a big base, so I wanted that to be annoying. And so as a result, he like auto ran Arkin over to make sure he was going to satisfy
To seize the
the
center.
the
Yeah.
season center. Yeah. And
So that
then
got him out of place.
yeah, a little bit. He had like three things like centralized, but like kind of midfield, right? And he
Mhm.
fought the tree and took it down, right? And that was okay. And then it came to me on bottom of one, and I threw up another tree like basically right in the same spot and hit it with the rend spell and just went in with um
I love that Ren spell. It's so good.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And so I did a cool, if I remember correctly, I did a cool kickflip with Belthanos to get to Arkin and then
Do a
threw all the
kickflip.
attacks in and then just basically knocked him out right then and there. And then it was going to be a pretty tough spot because I've been with Belthanos and Alariel, they just like get out of dodge. So if you go in and have a successful combat, it's pretty tough to recover from that point if I get to like slingshot out because I'm basically going to be full health on either or both of them the next time you engage with them.
Yeah.
So
Makes sense. It's such a
yeah,
meaningful chunk of the
a
army that does hit
spoiler
you.
alert of the whole tournament is it does not always work out that way. So it is a dangerous, slippery game you're playing there with the Beatles. But
Hmm.
um, when it works, it's super fun. Um,
Right?
and sometimes if it doesn't work, you have enough tricks to make it out. But sometimes things go horribly wrong. But
Totally
yeah.
fair.
So OBR is a menace right now, and those catapults are super strong. But yeah, I think just through some counter tactic play and almost denial. I got to pull him out of position a little bit and then capitalize on that and then have the catapults be somewhat not that important.
You have the healing to kind of counteract them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like on the first turn, I, if I remember correctly, Alariel lived on one wound
Yeah,
and
he
then
threw the oh sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, through like a weathering of stuff that he like threw at me. She like
Hmm.
lived on one wound and then she healed up to like seven or something like that. And then he got her down to like one or two wounds again. But by the end of the game, she was full health. Like, so
That's so soul crushing.
yeah. I do believe that happened a couple times over the tournament. It's like if you barely don't kill her, it's like, ooh, Nelly, this is gonna be brutal because she's gonna full heal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not the situation you
Because I'm
want,
gonna
but
get
okay.
D3 at the end of every turn. In every hero phase, she can heal 2 D3 if I want to, and it's very likely she's out of combat because if she ever ended in combat, I can strike and fade her to
Yeah,
safety almost anywhere on the board, right? Unless things have gone horribly, horribly wrong. And then you can rally, right? So
Yep.
6 more dice to heal. So just an insane amount of healing power, but not that strong of defensive ability capabilities. So I was nervous about the fact that she can go if you dedicate appropriately. She does just die.
Yeah.
She's
yeah.
at
She has
18
wound
wounds.
density, but not wound like
16.
the ward, not heavy wards, not great
Yeah,
armor
6 up
saving
ward.
odds.
Yeah, 3
Yeah,
up armor save, 6 up ward on 16 wounds for her, and then 14 for Belthanos. But he doesn't even get a natty ward.
Yeah.
So
Belthanos is yeah, if you catch him off guard, Belthanos goes down real quick
correct.
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
wrong situation.
The saving
Less
grace
cannony.
for me was that I was playing the Warsong Revenant and I was kind of using the OBR tactic against them because they have that really strong endless spell that gives the aura of 12 inches of -1 ward, but the Warsong Revenant does that on its body.
Hmm.
So against OBR, it was really strong because they capitalize on that 6 up ward, and then if they use the discipline to get a 5 up ward, it's now only a 6 up ward. So there was less likely for it to take it, and then wards are turned off. So Catacross, once that hat touched him, he just like started clapping, falling because no ward to
Yep.
protect
Yep,
him.
yep.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. Well, it sounds like, Mason, this first game went your way. You
Yep.
got a catapult out of position. You scooped an Archon. You saw the regenerative powers of Ilariel doing what she does, Lady of Life.
Yep. Yeah, it was a good game though.
Nice. On the board.
Nice.
Well, Alex, turning to you in the fields of battle, the place Khorne loves to be. What happened?
Played Soulblight, one of my least favorite matchups because I kill them, they keep coming back, they come out wide and get on the objectives.
And notably, the
Uh,
blood cannot flow. It's generally just ichor or like old dry
I
bits.
mean,
yeah,
you
Mhm.
do get skulls though, right?
I do.
Yeah, you get
But
the
they take them
skulls.
back.
Plenty of skulls. It's not, let me rephrase that. It's one of Corn's favorite matchups. It's not one of my favorite matchups.
Mm. It
Yeah.
is playing a meat grinder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played Cameron Chen, who is just a great guy. Him and I have been matched up several times as GTs, and it's always just a fun time hanging out. He has kind of been away from the hobby for a little bit, but he did a lot really early in the season to qualify for Masters.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always a pleasure playing him. He played Soulblight Gravelords with Nagash, 10 Blood Knights, double Fellbat, double Death Rattle Skeleton,
And the
uh,
Coven Throne.
and yeah, the Coven Throne.
Coming through good. I like it.
That's real fun.
It's pretty
Plus one
good.
attack. Plus one attack for your vampires is pretty good.
No, it was the Mortis engine, the one that does
Oh,
the
the
The bomb,
mortals.
the
explosive.
soul bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mortis
The soul
Engine
bomb.
is like a staple. I love that one. But the Coven Throne's also pretty good too if you're running like all
Yeah.
vampires. Add
Oh
an
yeah,
extra
it's the
attack.
one that it's the one that you juice up by casting spells next to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yep.
it has like
And
a
then you go
Nova,
boom
right?
boom.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
It
had
was
one
a
of those in the box for my Horde of Zombies one day. Real fun.
it was a super fun game. Very back and forth. I took an 8 point turn one. I just kind of hassled in the middle. Better part of Valor, just wanted to kind of score minimum, and then I wanted to score 8. Didn't want to try to push for the 10 right away. I got a nice tactic denial on him turn one. He did like capture your lands in my like random place in my corner. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna summon an endless spell there on my turn. I just banked prayer points and just auto endless spelled right there, and he's like, oh, I forgot that's the thing.
That's the worst.
Yeah. Oh,
The endless, are they models or are they not models? Are they models or are they not?
the downside, I had my axe stuck in the corner, but it wasn't that bad.
Hmm.
Um, I did a pretty good job splitting his army. He kind of came down my left flank with his 10 Blood Knights, and my right flank, I just kind of like played Benny Hill music with my Bloodthirster and Nagash, kind of chasing him around.
Nice.
It was kind of that was part was kind of fun. He crashed. He turned one out, tried to alpha me. I put all my dogs and claws in front of my Blood Warriors and Skull Taker. Um, Crashed in, killed my crappy chaff, gave me like 4 blood tithe. I was like, cool, let's go. This is game now. And then I just kind of slogged his Blood Knights with 2 units of Blood Warriors. Not getting charges
Mm-hmm.
for the whole, essentially the whole game. I like purposely didn't pile in to kill his Blood Knights, so he couldn't bring them back with Nagash
Nice.
until I
Smart.
could deal
Yep.
with Nagash. Um, so he was just literally sitting there. Luckily, I was rolling average-ish on my mortal wounds, so like every turn I was chunking like he was chunking like one of his Blood Knights away. So like by the time like I killed Nagash on turn 4, uh he had like 2 Blood Knights left. So he wasn't doing like any damage back to me. I was just like saving my all-out defense for getting 2 up armor save against Blood Knights, and
That's
yeah,
rad.
it was pretty
That's
it was
awesome. You
sweet.
kept him in the sweet spot, so they really couldn't be as effective as some of those
Yeah.
movements.
He got a tactic denial on me turn 2, which mostly because I got kind of greedy where he screened in front of me with his death rattle skeletons, and I chose slay the entourage or general's reg, kill
Mm-hmm.
units in general reg. I was like, oh, Nagash is in the open. I'll just Agrath King of Blades, wipe him out with my Bloodthirster that's gonna hit him at Ren 4. Easy kill, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
whiff.
I whiffed pretty hard, then got dusted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Uh,
no.
No.
That's That's
Yeah.
great.
When I should have just killed the 7 skeletons sitting in front of me and got my tactic and just but
Oopsies.
you know, that's in typical Khorne fashion. You see red and you're just like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm
Big
gonna kill
guy.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, that was good, some good rock under there. You made the narrative player choice. Can't be faulted.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Whoopsies.
our game actually ended up in a 38-38, 4 tactic each true draw.
Wow,
Whoa.
that's cool.
Um, it was a
Starting off
bloody
strong.
game. Scarbrand ended up just on turn 4 just walked up to him and I rolled like Carnage and just lifted Nagash like it was not even close.
That's a good day when that happens, right? Anytime Nagash is just whoop, that
Yeah.
that just feels good. That's a good feeling.
I think
That's
I'm
fun.
forced him to take like 40 something ward saves.
Jeez, that's
Good.
awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
so dust settles, and it's a true tie then, Alex.
Just yeah, I luckily had I had Scarbrand like coming in. I had him in like the center, just like almost uh ping pong table like ping pong like ponging back between all of his summoning units, like getting like 2-3 blood tithe of the turn, just
Nice.
like piling into 2 units, one weapon in one weapon in the other, just like getting 2 blood tithes.
Just
And I
swinging.
yeah,
Just
immediately brought my bloodthirster back like on turn 3.
like this is mine. This unit's mine. This unit's mine.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
fun.
It was a good game. I mean, I got greedy. I tend to do that sometimes in like my earlier matches before I kind of settle in. Um, but you know, it happens. I
Yeah.
should have won that
You saw
game,
an
but
angle and you shot it. It's all good
yeah,
though.
I mean,
yep,
it's like the better time to do it, right? Because the game,
yeah,
like you're gonna be, you don't want to see red and be fatigued with the all the tournament behind you, right?
That's
yeah.
true.
No, my bloodthirster walked up to Nagash. I was like, okay, turn 2, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna kill Nagash right here. Nagash had like 4 wounds left,
Oh, really?
and he ended up just healing back to full. And then Scarbrand took him out 2 turns later, but it was one of those things that was just like, I like the up. It's so easy for the Unfettered Fury just to give them right there.
Yeah.
That if that happens, like I just turn around and just 50, I get a 48-point win. And I felt like knowing that in Masters, if you want to finish high, if you have the opportunity to have an extremely high scoring game, I feel like you have to gamble on it.
And it's
That's
like it,
another question right there, guys. Is it differential we're looking at here? Is that what it is for
It was
placement?
win loss and then points.
Okay,
Yeah,
so high scoring was going to matter a bit.
yeah,
For
and
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
and on a normal day too, though, right? Like that bloodthirster is taking out Nagash on 4 wounds left, right? So it's not like it was like a bad, too bad of a
100%,
call,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, no, it
So
was I felt
just
like it
them
was
dice.
in my favor. Yeah, because I was 2s and 2s on him.
Yeah.
Uh, it, it was yeah, it was rough.
I'll say that in the court of one man's opinion over here, you cannot be faulted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will say, in to segue, my round 2 was brutal, like insanely brutal. So at least you got a tie,
Yeah.
to end round 1. So into round 2, I had to play Carson, or got to play Carson.
Carson.
What a
Okay.
lovely
Yeah, what about
treat.
Yep.
Who's now
What a lovely
the
man.
head of team PNW for this year?
Yeah,
very
he's gonna
nice.
be the captain, coach, captain,
I feel like
leader,
he, with the
mustache.
mustache, he does get El Capitan status,
Yeah,
right? Like I feel like
that's fair.
that should be a given.
Basically
It's Cities of
science,
Sigmar martial energy right there. Pretty good.
right?
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah. So I got to play Carson. He was doing a slave. He was playing Slaves to Darkness. It was a Bellicor 1-drop list with Bellicor, 6 Varangard, 10 Chosen, a Vortex Beast,
Fine.
and 10 Chaos Warriors, I think.
No,
I love
chosen.
that.
10
I love
chosen.
that.
No, yeah, 10 Chosen, 10 Warriors, 6 Varangard, and the Vortex Beast.
So
No,
essentially,
it was
also same thing at Feast. He did the same thing for Feast too.
no, his list was Bellicor, Eternus,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Mutalith, 6 Varangard, 10 Chosen. Those 5 units, 1 drop.
Gotta say,
Oh, okay.
Eternus is so fun, just in theory, with that particular setup.
Yeah, this one, man, it was pretty short-lived. On a ton of like any of the other missions, I would have had a way better game. But this one was a 4 objective with a home you had to protect.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I was made to go first against Carson, and so I thought to myself, okay, if I can go in with Alariel and Belthanos, I'm gonna take a lot of damage. I might be able to bait out the fight twice. Um, but if I can punch hard enough and do impacts enough, I can kill like 2 of these Varangard before they get to go in. He'll be probably forced to fight twice. I pick something first, I punch it really hard. Then the chosen can go. So I have an idea in my mind. I go for it. Fail the Belthanos charge. Alario goes in. He double activates with both of the units. She dies, right? Like obviously, and then he gets the double turn and basically tables me because it's slaves, right? And
Yeah,
he's like,
it's
When it hits, it
sounds
hits.
about right.
They're so
yeah,
efficient.
For those
Mm.
who may not know, there are it's Chosen and Varangard get to have the ability to fight twice, once per game. But
Mhm.
the second time that they fight, they have strikes less. Still, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
right.
So
But
yeah,
Be'lakor hands out three to like 3 units or all units or something. He just hands out strikes first.
yeah.
If you
Which
So
charge him and fall into his very obvious trap.
right, but I don't even think you have to have charged. I think it's just on enemy turn.
That's right. All
Yeah.
enemy like combat phases, it
Yeah.
activates.
And so yeah, so he was like, cool, yeah, I'll do that. I'll give them strike first and fight twice. So now they get to strike first and then they can fight normal
Yep.
because the interaction is that they cancel each other out. So it was gross. And I got like decimated. I mean, I think we said it was like a 48-10 because like it's hard to get a 10 on turn one, but I mean, it was just brutal. Now, granted, I could have played and should have played way, way safer, you know?
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
but I was going for a play that made sense. I just didn't bank on Belthanos, shit in the bed. So that's okay.
Happens sometimes
Slaves
with
did
slaves.
its thing, and
Yep.
it is good at
Yep.
it.
Yeah, it's like you're either gonna make it or you're not, right? With anything going into that list, you either
It's
Yeah,
knock
true.
it out or you don't knock
and
it out, and then you're
Carson,
kind of done.
plays it very well too. So
Yeah.
Yep. Very,
And
very well
no
played.
knock there.
side note, his chosen are beautiful. He hadn't really finished painting them at Feast Blades, but he made all these like awesome little heraldic
Oh yeah, yeah, they're all
heraldic.
done now.
Harold,
I
yeah.
saw him in Atlanta, and he had him here.
Yeah,
They're
they
great
are
looking.
beautiful.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Alex,
Although
what
I'm
did
a
you
big
have for him
sucker
too?
for 10 chosen, so
I gotta play
let's see
the
it.
other Canadian. I played Matthias.
Woo!
Oh boy.
Uh yeah, Matthias and I finally played for the first time against each other. We've actually been at countless tournaments together and never played. Uh Matthias played the second overall OBR list from Worlds. It was Catacross, an Ossifector, 2 catapults, a 4 pack of the Morghast Archai, the 2-handed weapons that are tankier,
Mhm.
unit of Death Riders, and then the Warcry Warband, the Deep Strike guys, which are very good ejector grabbers. Our
And they
mission
had
was
Cohort.
cohort, yeah. Battle for the Pass, 4 objective, pretty dense map. The train map we played was pretty kind of spread out. Our table had some pretty big train pieces. I went in, was like, okay, OBR, fine, whatever. I think I'm pretty good at OBR. I played against the catapult build, but this is where I even pointed out before the game, like I felt favorable against the catapult build, but I'd also hadn't played someone playing the catapult build with someone as competent as
Yeah.
Matthias. I mean, this is Masters, so we're
Yeah.
literally playing against some of the best. Um, it went about how I thought. for the first few turns. Um, we traded 9-point turns. Turn one, he kind of moved Catacross in the middle to kind of spread out his bubble. And then I walked forward with my Bloodthirster and just put Catacross on the floor. I took away his ward save and just instant killed him.
Nice.
Uh, those catapults, I will tell you what, in even in covering fire with the crit 2 hits, it is nasty
Yeah.
because they hit on 4s and then they can crit. If you get 2 hits, wounding on 2s at like Ren 2, D3 plus 3 or
D3
whatever it
plus
is,
2 damage each. Yeah.
it's brutal.
And
Yeah.
then fighting last on top of it too, that can change your plans immediately, right?
Oh yeah. I
Yep.
mean, granted, he failed almost every single one of his fight last rolls, so it didn't necessarily matter. Um, our game was incredibly close. We traded blows pretty. I sacrificed Scarbrand to his Archive to trade for Catacross, which I felt was a favorable matchup for me, favorable trade for me. Um, it came down to on turn 3, I essentially had like my Slaughter Priest, a small unit of Blood Warriors left, and my Bloodthirster. He only had like 2 Archai, a full catapult, half a catapult, and his Oss Effector left.
Mhm.
I rolled Blood Boil. I needed to roll like a 3, and I rolled a 6 and killed my Slaughter Priest. Uh,
No.
and then I needed to roll an 8-inch rerollable charge to come in and kill his Archai on an objective and essentially get a 10-point turn with my Bloodthirster on 3d6, and I failed it with a reroll.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, brutal. Took a 2-point turn instead of getting a 10-point turn. Um, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So I was like, I asked my brother, who's a math teacher, afterwards, like, what are the odds of this actually happening? He's just like, do you want me to tell you? Because it can make you sad.
Mhm.
Uh, and it was like a 96% chance of me just coming in and killing it. And I felt like kind of favorable after that, but again, it would have depended on his cannon. His cannons were still far back to not really score. Uh, it would have been fine-ish, but still kind of we had to play it out. But it felt good. I mean, it was a loss, but you know, if I'm gonna lose to anyone, I'm gonna lose to Matthias, who literally lost in the finals of Masters. So it felt good.
No shame in that at all, clearly. But okay,
No,
so we got through round two, guys, and not the strongest round for either guys. Good opponents, good games,
no.
not big wins. So it's
Crushed.
a tie and a loss, and a win and a loss, right? Is that where we're at right now? Between
Yep.
you, Alex,
Yep.
and Mason? Okay. So final game of day one. What's it look
Mine
like?
mine was very fast. I will say this.
Is
We
this the
paired
45-minute game you were talking about, Alex? Like just went into Costco runs afterwards?
No, the game was about that fast though. We played limited resources game 3, which I hate playing limited resources.
Yeah.
I think everyone hates playing limited resources.
That's
Um,
exactly why you have to play it though, because
This
it's
is
if everybody hates it, then it's equal. It's equally bad for every one
You
of
love
you.
to hate it.
this is when I started my initial Star Strike queue. Uh,
right.
that failed. It failed every time. But
It was
listen,
valiant effort.
the revolution is still alive.
That's right.
Um, I played Charles Van Ness playing Slaanesh, and Slaanesh is a very favorable matchup for Khorne because
Mhm.
nothing has shooting combat, and he
Mhm.
gives me temptation dice to just auto charge with big scary monsters, which are just gonna destroy everything. Um, and it did exactly that. My game was over. Our game was over in like an hour. I just murder lusted chaff into his big units of slick blades, and then just Scarbrand took up a left flank and just dumpstered the keeper and then all of his cavalry. Um, yeah, it was like a 46 point win, and I think I lost a total of like 9 models.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's rough for Sanash in
Yeah.
general. Oof.
Too
Tough,
much
tough
blood.
situation.
Too much
Heart
blood
goes
for
out to
that.
Charles in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he took it like a champ. Even he said he's like, this game's gonna be over fast. But yeah, it was a very favorable matchup. It was like felt like Goku channeling my Spirit Bomb finally for this like very favorable matchup in Masters, and I'm just like, okay, now I just got done playing Matthias. Now I gotta let out all my energy.
Fair.
Uh,
And you ended day one, Alex, as a preserver of the balance with 1-1-1.
1-1-1.
yeah, it felt
Yeah.
good. Um, yeah, it felt good. It was fun playing Charles, and then yeah, I felt I needed that win personally going into day two.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
feel good about it. Yeah, I ended up playing Joseph Tsai in round 3, and he was playing a Stormcast list with who's the
He
space
played
swirly
Bastion,
guy? Yeah, he's got Bastion
six
and Celestant
prosecutors,
Prime. Yeah,
yeah,
Mhm.
Celestin
Celestant.
Prime,
Um,
6
but
Paladors,
yep, 6 long
Storm
strikes.
Coven, yeah, 6 long strikes.
Pretty good list, you know. I've seen my fair share of Stormcast at this point, so I know a lot of what it wants to do for the most part. Everyone outdrops me at all times, so he gets to decide how to go first, and he decides he wants to go first, and he's like, "I'm gonna send it," and sent in some prosecutors and the um,
Paladors?
Paladors and Celestin Prime, and did not kill anything that he touched. He
Oh
wounded
wow.
heavily, but did not kill. And we talked earlier about how dangerous that is.
Was
That's
that
But
just
exactly what you want them to do. Wound but not kill.
was
right.
that just like
Yeah.
attack allocation problems
Yeah,
or
I mean,
like
there wasn't a ton of space. Like he was going to have to split up how
hmm,
he was going to be attacking. Um, yeah, and I can't remember
The Prime
exactly.
is very spiky too. The Prime either does a lot or
Yeah,
nothing.
right.
yep.
Um, and and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this might have been he maybe he did come in and maybe the Paladors did kill Belfanos on top of one, but he didn't kill Alariel or anything else on the other side. And then I brought Belfanos like right back, almost in a similar spot, um, on bottom of one.
Gross.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely not something you want to deal with
yeah,
after throwing all of that right in harm's way.
yeah. And then I believe that I got a double turn and was able to kind of just like pincer in and take out the
Lucky.
Stormcast stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes, again, even though I'm 4 drops, my opponent panics and they're like, I'll go first. And I'm like, whoa, okay, sweet.
His
Good.
list is very much like the I like to call the 1 2 3 lunch list. Like,
Hmm.
let's play real fast and then let's go to lunch.
Hmm.
Right. Um,
But that's it's still interesting because like I would still expect the Celestin to be held up in the sky for a little bit, you know? Like
he didn't put a single Stormcast unit in the sky.
yeah, it's interesting that that's like the choice because
Does he like get bonuses still for being in the sky or anything like
yeah, I
that? Or
believe so. I can check.
Well, Bastion gets to move 3 units for free, and then he um I
yeah,
think
and so
normally
that's exactly what he did. He is just like, okay, here's prosecutors, here's prime, here's paladors with this
yeah
pregame move, all forward. I'll take first turn, send it. Like,
yeah
Yeah, I mean it's it he gets an easier strike zone, so I get it. So like he's if he goes on turn one, he's when you set him up, it's 10 inches away, right? So you have to
okay,
wait and then you subtract the current battle round. So turn two, he's 9 inches away. Turn three, 8 inches away. So it's not as good, but it's still kind of like I don't know. I even just from muscle memory expect him to be hidden uh, up in the sky for that.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
yeah, it makes sense
Yeah,
with
but
Bastion then.
he kind of like threw it all at me, and I was able to, with the terrain and some positioning and stuff, weather the attacks. I don't think he accounted for the bodyguard bonus, because like every game I was making the Bo Kurnoth Hunter's bodyguard for Alariel, and she
Yeah.
would start halfway in and out of a tree with the bows straight up in the trees right behind her, wholly within 6 inches. So I put her on the line because if my opponent gave me first, I was going to try to slingshot off, and if they came in, I was going to be as defensive as possible. And so yeah, I don't think he accounted for that quite as much, and so didn't calculate the damage quite well enough. And then yeah, I got an early double and just like did a pretty critical amount of damage. And the cool thing with that list is like between Callus and Toll and the 5 tree revs that I have, like they're doing almost all of your point scoring, while the rest of your guys are just like pouncing in and then getting back out to a big safety net.
Yeah. Yeah. And those bows are no joke, especially against like Stormcast, right?
Yeah,
Because
Oh
they're
yeah.
they're anti-hero essentially, right? So like
yeah,
they're gonna wipe any of their heroes. And like, did you kill Bastion in one turn? That's my big question.
for sure. Yeah, he never
Yes.
got to like heal. Yeah.
I hate that guy.
Yeah, it did take me, I think, 2 combats to kill the Prime because he's got a little bit more health. But
Hmm.
I think I dealt like 8 to him on the first go, and then I went into Bastion and did like the same 8 or 9 damage or something and took him out.
It's a brutal
Nice.
list.
Yeah, yeah, it was strong. Yeah,
And I know that because I played him right after you.
nice. Okay,
All
do
right.
tell. Was
Ooh,
it different?
foreshadowing there.
Different
Yeah.
experience?
Dawn of the
Uh
second day, guys. Round 4.
yeah. Day 2, fun. It's always a blast. Um I played Joseph round 4. Joseph literally dumpstered me. It was probably my biggest ass whooping I've
Oh
taken
wow.
in a tournament. I deployed a little funky. I did not expect him to, because Mason had told me about his game. I did not fully expect him to full send it against me
And he
with
did.
our
He
mission.
alphaed you, sort
Oh, he that's an understatement. So we played focal points. I expect him to play more KG,
of. Okay.
Mm,
give me turn, and then kind of come in on turn 2 once my screens are a little bit spread out because I have to come out of my cave on focal points.
hmm.
Um, and I was 90% of Stormcast players. That's kind of what they do against me. So I was that's what I was expecting. So my deployment was a little not as castly as I should have to protect against the turn 1 alpha. Um, with that said, he just full sended came in, and he did put his long strikes in deep strike. Teleported his storm coven on an objective, like the middle objective, so he could cast and get the +1 to cast. Um, and then he just rolled all the crit hits that he needed with Galmaraz and everything, and just dumpstered me. It was a grade A ass whooping. Um,
I mean, best place to get it from is Masters, I would say.
yeah, and Joseph and I we have a lot of things in common. We're both Bay Area sports fans. We love playing each other. Uh, yeah, it's just fun hanging out. I love talking to him. We both
Well, that's
work
good.
crazy jobs too that like we don't get to go to a lot of events like a lot of other people, but when we do, we really capitalize on it. So shout out to Joseph, great guy.
Yeah, it's interesting that like the slight difference, a few more damage either like decimates the army or
Oh, he told me like when he was taking his turn 1, he's just like, I'm either gonna roll really hot right now, which he did, uh, or I'm gonna come in like he did against Mason, and then my Bloodthirsters and my Blood Warriors are just going to dumpster him.
right. Yeah, swing
It
right
really
back.
does feel like some lists are built like that, right? Like you're always doing the dino move, and then when it works, it works. It's like
Right.
Yeah.
it
Well,
Yeah, and
doesn't,
big
doesn't.
a
it's
big
just
problem with Khorne is you can't start in the altar right now to
mhm.
get the shielded buffs, and then you want to play the 6-inch Murderlust instead of having the one blood tithe to kind of Murderlust and prevent all the charges against
Mhm.
your screen. It's just so difficult right
So
now.
weird question. Can you redeploy onto the altar?
No, it is it's an ability you do in the hero phase to kind of get into the altar. It's stupid,
In
but
your hero phase,
it
though?
specifically says your hero phase.
That's a bummer.
I mean,
But
I get it because it's like the counteracting, like making the spell ignore super good if you want to play against like an alpha like spell dom army, but
mhm,
we don't really have many of those in the game right now. Like we don't have the Seraphon of third edition anymore, or the Zinch of third edition.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, the
all those
closest
armies.
was like Karzai, right? With a +2 to cast.
Yeah, like those
Was
armies,
it
like still
Karzai? It's the other
all
one.
Yeah, I
the
mean,
other
like
one.
my army was 5 casts, but I wasn't doing a ton of offensive spells, like a lot of endless spells.
Like it's
But
only really good against like Nagash builds, which Nagash is really popular
for real,
because
yeah,
I can
Mhm.
like set my castle up to where most the game I'm sitting 18-inch spell ignore on a 5 up for a blood tithe, and then he's 8 casting trying to D3 mortals to my units. It's not very good for him because he's probably going to give me 2 blood tithe a turn, which is going to go downhill real fast for him.
Yeah.
yeah. In my round 4, man, I had to play Slaves to Darkness again. The only other Slaves to Darkness list at the event, I had to play it again, round 4, against Chris Hall. And it was a quite similar list, but in some ways very, very different. He had
Mhm.
Be'lakor, he had 6 Varangard, he also had 5 knights and 10 warriors. And then for
Mm.
his second regiment, he had the Skaven Regiment of Renown.
That's
I
the
love
way.
it.
That's the
Yeah.
way.
Um, and yeah, it was pretty good. And so he made me go first, and I took Seize the Center, and he very brilliantly countercast the shards of Valinor, and so really made it annoying for me to get in. So I had a brilliant thought. I said, I'm going to drop Callus and Toll 6 inches away from the shards because that's how far I can be from it, but I'm away from everything else. They'll charge in, they'll definitely kill the shards, and then I'll have Seize the Center because I'll have both
Mhm.
units there on an objective, right? So had this brilliant thought. Then I went with Alariel and Belthanos, ran him up the side slash middle where the Varangard were going to be at. I was going to send both of them in. I had a 6 inch charge and a 7 inch charge, and I failed both of them. And I used a command point to reroll one of them and failed that. So
Oh.
so I
Oof.
did the first part with the endless spell. It was toast. My Calisthotho were right in the middle of the board, and then my Belthanos and my Alariel were off 6 and 7 inches away from Be'lakor and the Varangard
Just sitting in the wind.
with the yeah with the 6 bows right behind. So bottom of one, naturally, he double activates the Varangard and kills Alariel and then kills all 6 bows in
Oh, yeah.
one go. Boom, boom. Okay. Um, I win priority going into 2. Really thankful because if I get doubled, it's toast, just like the Carsa game, right? At least I'm in it now, but I can start trying. I can try to revive, you know.
Hmm.
So we're doing our thing. He Bellicors up the Belthanos. Okay, I still get to try to revive. Boom. I do pop Alariel, get her back. That's great because she's like almost immediately gonna be full health. So getting Alariel back is huge. Um, but because of where everyone was at in in my turn, he was like, cool, I'm gonna countercharge the Varangard into Belthanos and just kill this dude on your turn because I Bellacored him, right? And he failed the move, he failed the charge, he failed the fight, he failed the leap.
Rough.
Uh, yeah, and
He
by failed
wasn't
I
getting
mean
away. He was
wasn't
he was
allowed.
tricked by the
Yeah,
Dark Master's
yep,
strategies.
yep,
Right.
yep.
Yeah.
He was truly tied up this game, and so yeah, it was just too much to weather. And again, against slaves, I probably, when he did that and put me in a pickle, I should have been like, huh, this sucks and is annoying. I'm just gonna do the Callus and Toll thing and nothing else, right? and
Mhm.
instead I didn't do that. So I didn't. I expected to make the charges. In my mind, we don't fail charges. So I just,
100%
but
of the
if
time you
you,
make them.
yeah, if you do fail them, though, you've now hand delivered on a silver platter your entire army to your opponent. So
Yeah.
I did
Oh,
that very politely for Chris. I stayed really tight in it, honestly. Like I wasn't out of the game until round five. Um,
oh
I
wow.
was I was only down by 5 or 6 points. Like fighting was happening, but like again, between the other stuff going on, I was still scoring points and taking objectives. I was really, really utilizing the Warsong Revenant to the best of my abilities to keep an area held down. Um, but yeah, I did end up losing that, so I was 2-2 now with both my losses to both of the slaves players. So turns out slaves greater than Sylvaneth,
It,
Greater
Vanguard,
than
it
most of the
so
meta.
good. Yeah.
Side note, I think Chris has been playing slaves for the longest time too. Like he's gone
Yep.
to Cruel Boys every once in a while, but like
Mhm.
Slaves to Darkness is his like bread and butter. He's an
Gotta love
immaculate
it.
player.
How did
Yep.
Such a
Such
good
a
the
dude
nice guy too.
too.
Yeah, such a
Yeah.
good dude.
You
Yeah.
didn't really speak
Very
about it
awesome
much
dude.
though, Mason? How did the regiment play into it? Was that effective, or what did it?
Yeah, it was pretty effective. So I think that what he did with them the first turn is he like moved them all over and then popped all got the two up to increase the range and then or to make it 30 attacks and then did
Mhm.
the once per game to buff the range and he shot the whole regiment into Alariel before he sent the Varangard in and I think he did like 9 damage through an all-out defense
Oh,
Oh
gotcha.
wow.
Really
with
softened it
everything.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So then when the Varangard came in, even through the bodyguard and another all-out defense into those, it just like wasn't enough. And then
Jeez.
then they got their full power attacks into. So yeah, then I brought her back and we talked about how he like countercharged my Belthanos. Then when he went again, he went to go and target. He kind of had like everything shoot into Callus and Toll on the second round of things, and did like actually like zero damage.
Hmm.
Because Callus and Toll can just it's hard to even say spikes because they're on like 3 up 4 ups when they're sitting on an objective. So, if I'm remembering correctly, it was kind of like nothing. And at the same time, it weirdly enough, as like everything else was going wrong, this was the one game where I was like actually hitting my tree damage and my proc damage and all the shackles. Like I was dealing sprinkled damage and keeping myself in the game with like all of the other tricks that I'm not even normally utilizing because like we were just on fire over in the corner. So it was kind of a funny situation, but yeah, I knew Slaves was going to be a tough matchup because I am fragile enough that hammer is going to take me out for sure.
Yep.
That makes sense. So, guys, that brings us to the final game then, for all the marbles, or some of the marbles.
I
It
can
was
jump
fun.
right in if you
Yeah,
want.
go ahead.
I got to play Cameron. So, Cameron Chen, who Alex, you said you played round one, right?
Hmm.
So it was Nagash and the 10 Blood Knights. He told me, hey, I got to do a practice game against the Sylvaneth list on TTS. And I said, oh, yeah, I kind of know about that. I know that guy. And he asked if I knew you and told me about the game. And I said, but he was fair. He didn't tell me anything until the lists were already submitted and public. So, I didn't have any advanced intel, but he said, "Yeah, I learned that I shouldn't alpha your army." And I was like, "Oh, okay, awesome." So we deploy and we're getting all set up, but I know that guy that he played, and that list is like quite a bit different than mine. That list is playing 12 Kurnoth, but it's playing like 2x6 scythe units.
Mm,
So like
That's a good
way
list.
hittier. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's not bad at all. Yeah, especially if it gets charged into. It's like what it wants
yeah.
to happen. So, um, but I'm doing the Monster Mash one. So I'm made to go first, and I decide surely my yeet and bounce strategy has to work, right? It has failed me the last 2 times I've wanted to try to do this.
Setup
Nash.
is making me
Surely we've got to
nervous.
make this. Yeah. So I set it all up and I go in and I don't I don't deal mortals with Alariel, which was a bummer, but I did get the kickflip off, and so I did this like fancy trick where I got into the front line of the Blood Knights, but I kickflipped all the way to the back at like 3.01 inches away from his mortis engine. And so I went first and I piled in like that tiny baby millimeter or whatever
Hmm.
into the mortis engine and all out attack to put all my attacks there, and Belthanos killed the mortis engine on top of one.
Nice.
So he decides to fight back and he puts like all of the Blood Knights into. I think that between shooting and then the leapfrog ability, I killed like two Blood Knights. I think he had eight, and I think he punched Alariel and did like I don't know 8 damage or something. And Alariel swung back and killed six of them.
Yep.
So um, I then over on his other flank, I like either unbound or he failed to cast an endless spell to protect his side. So I dropped Callus and Toll over there, 9 inches away from Nagash, and dealt like 6 or 7 damage to him or something like that with Callus and Toll shooting because it's double damage. I did fail the charge to get in. Um uh but then yeah, I think that I didn't get a double turn. He brought a Blood Knight back, but I was able to like get everybody out. After I went in, did the strike and fade and the power through, got both big guys out. Um,
Nice.
so he has the strategy. Okay, now I need to throw these Blood Knights away. So he sends them into my home, just as far forward as possible, charge him in, just fight anything because I either need to die or go out swinging. And then he decides to move Nagash over because he says, "Oh, I'm going to go take this objective from Callus and Toll." And he charges Nagash into Callus and Toll and dealt like 2 damage to them.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh,
and then Callus and Toll swung back and dealt like 13 damage to Nagash or something, like some insane amount. Like I
that
think
is
I
like
left him on
book worthy.
one or two wounds.
Oh, amazing.
And then we did the Hand of Dust, and I picked correctly, so he didn't kill one of them. And then
Lucky. Tell
yeah,
me how to
right,
do that.
yeah, and then into my turn, I was like, okay, cool, I'll just slay the entourage, right? And then they just kill him, easy peasy, right there. So. And then in the same turn is when I killed the Blood Knight. So he has no time, no window to resummon his Blood Knights because I basically killed them at the same time, and then the army was done for because there's nothing else that they're doing. So yeah,
Yeah.
Callus and Toll are really gross. They end up, if they can get into a Nagash, I was +1 to wound because he like marks a unit for justice. So
Hmm.
he and the companions are +1 to wound. He and the companions are also anti-wizard, +1 rend.
Yep.
And then Callus and Toll specifically say double damage against wizards and priests. And so they're flat 2 in melee. So that goes to 4 damage melee attacks.
And even their shooting is double, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
from one
just
to two.
attacks.
Yeah.
So they're brutal.
That's
Again,
what they're
the
looking for,
most
that exact matchup.
undercosted unit I think in the game. They
Yeah.
feel
Mm,
they
But
feel
yeah,
like it.
it was like
Paladors.
it was like super quick
Oh
because
yeah, maybe Paladars.
his whole gimmick was kind of thrown off at the very beginning by losing the Mortis engine to the kickflip thing, and then he had deployed like in the backfield, but I was like, oh cool, these guys will run in charge. Or Alario didn't even need to run. She just like went up and did her thing, and Belthanos like auto ran 6. So I was like, I'm not missing this time. I'm making it. And then when I saw the opportunity for the kickflip, I was like, all right, got to do it. Because if that thing goes down, then like it's huge output. It's just gone.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I ended 3-2 with some pretty powerful wins. My intention for the tournament was to get the Highlander award, and I knew I was a strong contender, but it was hard to tell because I just lost to Chris in round 4, and he was also Highlander and didn't even know it was a thing. So, um, but Alex, what did you have round 5?
I played Michael, who played Stormcast Eternals, but he played the Army of Renown for Bastion.
Oh,
So
Interesting.
yeah, it was essentially all or the Annihilators with Grand Hammers,
Yep.
Hmm.
um, a lot of Grand Hammers, um, and I want to say not Karazai. What's the other dragon's name? The wizard
Ionis?
one. No, the
Ionis,
wizard
yeah.
name.
Yeah, that was the one I was
Grandis?
trying to Crondis.
Not
Call me
Karazai. Krondus or
Crondis.
Karazai. Yeah.
I was
Crondis.
trying to remember Crondis earlier, but there we go.
Yeah, Crondis with the bodyguard. Lotta. Yeah, you know the song and dance
And
with
in
that.
that one, he
Mhm.
can like drop Grand Hammers like 3 inches away from you, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And I had learned from my previous Stormcast games, like, oh, this guy's literally just gonna try to alpha me. Was looking through his list, like, wait, no Paladors, no long strikes. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, what a nice person. He's not, just gonna pummel me into the ground. So I just made a castle, put on my weak chaff, and then my tough chaff, and then my bloodthirsters and everything behind that. And I got blood tithe when he came in and killed my little chaff, and then he has no way reoccurring any units, and then I think we traded 8, 8, 8, 8, and then by that time he had like 9 models left. And then it just kind of went downhill, and I tabled him pretty fast.
Yeah, because that's a low model counter on you, right? That's pretty
Yeah,
damn low.
I walked out. Scarbrand walked out and just dumpstered Crondis in one roll. I rolled double carnage on his axe.
Oh, nice.
So
That's always the final
Very
word right
nice.
there. That happens.
yeah, it was like a good yeah, buddy. Could have done this other times during the tournament, but now you do this.
It's interesting that the game right now is quite polarizing. It seems to be decided quite decisively rather quickly, or games go to a grinding halt, and you
Mhm.
have these weird like 32-28, or like 29-27 point victories that are like clawed out because the sludge fest in the middle was like so killy that everybody died, and then it's just like, what can we do? It's kind of like an aftermath if a concession or there isn't a decisive winner. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for the battle scroll. I was a little bummed that um, we didn't get to play on it for Masters. It would have been
Same.
fun to see how people adapt on a rather short notice, right? If we would have got it like a week, or if we would have got it like up until the week before, they were gonna go with it. So
Yeah.
um,
So what'd you finish overall, Mason? Like seventh,
fifth,
fifth,
sixth, maybe. Let me see. Oh, sixth. Yeah, I'm looking at it right
sixth.
now. Yeah, so I got sixth, and I did get the Highlander award. And I'm
You
Nice.
have
like,
the sword?
yeah, I'll grab it.
Oh, this is
Mason walking around with the sword.
pretty cool. Oh, the blur
I
though.
won this sword. I don't know if you can see it.
It's very much like Narsil.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Look
Very
at the
okay. And
cool.
shine on
then
that.
on this, it actually says PNW Master or PNW Highlander 2024, but it is like a heavy full sword.
And it's just for the listeners out there,
That's
Mason.
gnarly.
How does one win the Highlander? What is the actual requirement?
Yeah, so the only requirement really was that you couldn't have any duplicates in your list. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had Ilario Belthanos, Warsong Revenant, a reinforced unit of bows, which is allowed, and then some tree revenants, and then Callus and Toll and his Dobronis. So
Yep.
interestingly enough, I was almost about as Highlander as you could get because it was just like a bunch of singletons. You
That's
know,
fun. That's fun. There can
yeah,
be only one.
yep.
And
Did
how
you win
long
it?
is? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
How did you get it when because we didn't double up awards, right? Because Carson couldn't get it because Carson was also a Highlander. He finished third or second.
Yeah, so what Jeremy said was that the other awards were like more coveted. The
Mm.
podium spots were a higher award. So if you podiumed, you were not eligible for that. So
Joke's on them. Sword's way better than people.
Yeah, I
right.
was gonna
I
say
would say,
I
yeah.
saw the awesome little, monolith trophies, but I would have taken the sword any day, all day.
Yeah.
It
That's
is
like the
pretty cool.
secret grand prize right there, Mason. I think you
Although
should be very happy with that.
then I'd have to be walking around the streets of Seattle for even like a minute amount of time with a sword, which would make me feel very strange in general. I mean, I could have gone to Gasworks and LARPed maybe a
Yeah.
little bit,
Right.
To be,
But
to
That
be
would have
fair,
been fun.
Matt, very strange, but very safe.
yes,
Because you
very
are the
safe.
man with the sword.
Very safe.
Yeah. And I ended up 11th overall. Felt good. First Masters. I think Mason, it was also your first Masters too, right?
Nope.
No?
Nope. I'm into all three.
Oh well, aren't you special?
Yep.
But I'll be back next year. I mean, this is my first real year playing GTs, other than like my annual LVO and one Sparkle.
Yeah,
It
you guys
it
are
was
gonna
a
kill it
blast.
next year.
I hope so.
Fantastic.
Oh, I'll shout out briefly because I know Alex took off. They did also announce how they're gonna do the PNW Masters team this year. So if you were at that tournament and or you were placed in the top 24 of the uh event, and there's a distinction for some reason, right? But just go with me here. If you meet one of those two criteria, you would be sent an email with a chance to apply. So it was like a Google question, one of those like,
It was like a job
survey.
application.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And it had 7 or 8 questions on it. Yeah, like a job application in a way, but way easier type of
Did you
questions.
did you apply?
Yeah,
I
yeah, may as
also
well.
applied.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were pretty easy questions like, do you know what this is? Do you want to do this? You have to kind of commit. Are you going to go to this tournament that's in another state? Are you willing to commit to a couple of like practice weekends throughout the year? That would just be local, obviously. But we'd be playing tons of games for a whole weekend. Sure, 2 weekends. Yeah. And then it's going to probably cost you anywhere from like 700 to $1,500 for trips,
Hmm.
the trip, so is that going to be okay? And
A good
then what armies
expectation
do you
setting.
play?
Yeah.
You can list, and I got really tired of like clicking every single fucking box, but
Same. I
yeah,
just checked all of them because I own all
yeah,
the armies.
yeah.
Just gotta select all. That was the
I
option that
I
was
did
missed.
not click all of them because there are some that I was trying to be truthful. Like I could play any if they really needed me to, but it seems better to be like, yeah, I could play like 18 of these armies, no problem right now. Let's do it. Um, but like KO, I would struggle to play a pickup game real quick with that. So I just don't
Yeah,
know
you
the
do
right
fine.
now. Yeah, I would be, but
I have a KO army I can give you.
yeah.
I'm building
And
one right now. I don't even
and
know
so
why.
and then it had a little blurb about like why should we pick you? Why are you the cutest girl? Um yeah, and so yeah, if you were at the tournament or if you were in the top 24, would get an email invite. Then I think that at Cake or Death they're gonna announce the team, and that's in February, like on the 16th and
Yep.
17th or something like that.
Mm.
And then but I think you have to, if you're going to apply, I think the cutoff's like January 10th or 13th or
Yeah,
something.
it's coming up.
Yeah. Like I think they said like a month. So whatever, maybe it's the 16th. Yeah. Like basically open for a month. Um, but theoretically there's only going to be like a maximum of 30 applicants, and I think they'll probably want a total of 10 folks at least that
Yeah,
they'll
because it's an 8-person team. They want 2 alternates.
yeah.
Um,
That
myself
makes sense.
probably not gonna make it just because I haven't had the year that Mason had, but Mason definitely should get a seat at the table.
I'm
This is
cool
my
either way.
campaign for
So,
Mason. This is my campaign for him. He deserves it.
I agree. I agree Mason deserves it. I agree you
seconding
deserve
on
it too,
that.
Alex.
You guys should both get on there, but yeah, I
Yeah,
think the credentialing this year, Mason, you definitely have like the scorecard to say, give me my spot.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
I'm cool either way. I appreciate y'all, but it's cool. Whatever happens, I'd be happy just to participate and help. Like I love
Yeah,
to
I
help
want to be
people grow
involved somehow,
for
helping
sure.
leading out armies or helping people test. I think it's, again, like we said earlier in the show, it's just that camaraderie in the community. It's all love between everyone, even though we're cross clubs and everything. We're all just one big Sigmar family.
It's true. Yeah, it was a
Mm.
really fun year of Warhammer. You know, um, it was interesting at the um to kind of reflect back on the year. It's at the end of the year now, right?
Mhm.
The beginning of the year was a kind of a crazy time in its own right because it was a little bit boring, you know. Um,
Third.
Mhm.
like third edition after LVO, we had waited a long time for a new update that was like long overdue. And then it felt like it like wasn't quite enough, and we knew they had already started teasing and spoiling parts of fourth edition because they wanted it to be like so drawn out that
Yep.
there was like a month and a half drought of like no interest, no discussion, no nothing, because it was kind of pointless because we were being drip fed new information that was exciting. Like it was all cool stuff. You know, they did it. I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, the game is in a weird
Oh,
I agree.
place in its own
oh,
right, but
I don't know. I hated it. I hated it because we got like no updates on Beast of Chaos. We got no updates on Bone Splitters, and I'm just sitting there like, oh no,
yeah, and
oh no.
and so you know,
Mhm.
then it launched, and it is pretty good, right? Like it definitely has its flaws, and but like from a foundation and a core, I think the game still plays like really well. I think that there's a lot going on. I really like it. We had a nice introductory launch because we got to do like Tacoma Open
Mhm.
if you were doing that. Um, we got that. It was like the first real GT, and it was like the big one and the GW official one right out of the gate. Um, and then after that, we kind of had like a ton, you know, because
Oh,
between then and
oh,
November,
yeah.
I did like six, and I
Mhm.
didn't do all of them. So, um, yeah, there was just like a huge growth of the game between then and now. So, to see the Masters culmination and to like kind of reflect back on the year, it's been like a really fun year of Warhammer. Tons of Warhammer, lots of information.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Mason and I like only knew each other barely too at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
And
I feel like this year was almost an expansion of like people that I got to like meet and know, like
Hmm.
actually know, not just stand across the table from, right?
yeah.
It seemed like this year something clicked even more, I think. Um that being said, and I didn't even make half the I feel like I didn't make half the tournaments that you guys did. And I had to TO the last one, damn it. Um
Grant, that was my favorite tournament of the year.
Feast of Blades, man, it sounded amazing. I can kind of jive with that too. I mean, I haven't been playing nearly as much in the latter half of the year as I would have liked to, various circumstances. But I do think it's been a big boom year for people getting the hobby and the hobby growing, which is wonderful to see.
Yeah.
I think it was really just amazing to like, yeah, like I said, some just clicked. Some
Yeah.
clicked this year, and whether fourth was the catalyst, whether it was whatever else it was. Like this year has been really good for Warhammer. Really, really good for Warhammer.
I'm
See
thankful
more of
for
that.
all the events and all the friends I made and all the memories. I'll never forget this year. It was such a good year.
It was a great year. Yeah. I still don't understand how y'all keep playing the same list though. It would like drive me mad. I've got to be switching it up.
Listen, my brain worm tells me what to do. Your brain
Yeah.
worm tells you what to do.
You guys are
Right.
definitely
That's
so
right.
diametrically the opposite this year with that. It's just so funny. Like every army versus Khorne flavor variants.
Yeah.
Everybody's comfortable with their own way of playing, right?
I dig
But
it. I dig
but
both sides.
that being said, with Feast of Blades, though, we're gonna have two this year, which will be really awesome. So those should be coming out on BCP soon. We'll have the last one right before Masters again, so I can lose that coveted second from or third from actually making it to Masters when I TO everybody.
Right. Did you
um,
get the golden ticket stuff?
we
Or you
should
have to
have it in.
reapply?
Well, you have to, from what I've heard, the way Sean described it to me, we have to apply way earlier, which now we have the heads up to actually do
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So I don't know if we're making the first one, which I think is going to be in June. Don't hold me to it, knock on wood.
Definitely holding you to that.
What
Um,
we should do, hear me
and
out.
and then November. So we're gonna have two Feast of Blades and more squigs to give out to people that we haven't fed who have won the tournament for sure.
We got to get Jack and Rocco out for one and do
Mm-hmm.
Always Strikes Last live on a Friday night.
Always
Oh,
strikes light live.
100%. We should
Yep.
definitely make that a thing.
Yeah, we very much will do that. We're gonna find a way to get that done. It's got to be possible.
We're gonna make that happen.
Yeah.
Have a
Yeah.
dream,
And
gentlemen.
then this coming year, like we're gonna be a wash of books, right? We're gonna get book after book after book. It's gonna be super
Yep.
exciting. I'm
Iron Jaw's
so
allegedly
looking
like the first or second week of January.
Just in time for LVO.
I'm excited
There
for
you
you
go.
guys. Maybe you'll all luck out and have different things than yours than the index. Not better.
That's doubtful.
I'm optimistic. You know what? It's gonna be good. The hangouts, the friends, the books, the armies, the games,
Oh yeah,
getting
yeah.
getting doubled, doubling people.
Well,
You know,
joking aside,
pretty
you
good.
guys are right. I mean, it's gonna be real fun to see how it evolves, right? We're at that. Okay, now they're gonna
I
hit the
picked up
gas
a
and stuff.
giant Iron Jaws position, so I'm hoping that they're gonna be real good here.
You ready for those stocks to go up? Nice. So yeah,
Yeah, I
work
am.
on
Yeah,
the Smith himself.
I got 8 big pigs just on fucking deck.
Cruel irony will be that Cruel Boys are the winner off of that
Yeah,
book for
I'm
once.
sure they will be.
Big Wah's coming back. Big Wah's a thing.
Oh
Believe
no.
it.
Oh
They said
no.
it. They said it in the article. Big Wah is back.
Oh, rough, rough. I shudder.
But no
I
blood
shudder at
space.
some big wah pain.
Even
No, it
in
should
like
be
that,
interesting.
six
Miles will be
months from
happy for that.
now, Beasts of Chaos are gone, Savage Orcs are gone, new GHB in the summer.
Yep,
Ooh, it's gonna get real spicy.
yep.
You're
And
forgetting Alex too, like the secret new armor they're gonna release. Almost certainly gonna be Chaos Dwarves.
Nah.
Yeah, calling it right now. Chaos Dwarves are coming.
we'll find out. It's either Chaos Dwarves. We'll get Silent People. Maybe I'll get
I
my
want
Famir.
I want a Deepkin relaunch, and I want Crab People.
Yeah, we need
Crab
crab
people,
people.
I'd be very much behind.
Crab
I want like a
people.
character that can like a small like combat character like Skull Taker
Mhm.
that like kills your character but gets to like use its carcass as like a hermit crab shell and like carries it around for like a
Yeah.
plus armor save or award as like a
I
token.
I would want the crab fighting character to have just like really mediocre, underwhelming damage most of the time, but have like a crit, which is just absurd damage. Like kids would
Yeah.
get the claw.
Yeah, it's like
If you
crit
if you doubles
crit
up,
5 mortal wounds on a 0 rend attack or something.
Yeah.
just give him the Slayer King's ability. If you get doubles, they
There you
auto
go.
die.
Right.
And well, that means he has to have 2 claws. He can't be a
Yeah.
fiddler crab or anything. So you'd have
He'll
to.
be Clamps from Futurama. Give him the clamps.
Yeah, give him the clamps.
There's a lot of potential for that. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
it will really interesting to see kind of what comes up. I do think that they're gonna release something new. I mean, hopefully relaunches and refreshes all over the board, but something new is
Surely
coming.
they'll have something.
Well, there are definitely armies that are going to get fleshed out, right? Or we hope they're going to get fleshed out.
Mhm.
Let's hope, like our diaper boys, Fire Slayers get a little love and some kind of unit that doesn't do the same thing as 2 other units in the book. And
Those goblins look amazing.
oh,
Oh
the
yeah,
wolves, yeah,
Yeah, the Get Mob does look really fun.
yeah, they look really good. And
it'll be fun.
yeah, it'll be a good new year of Warhammer. I'm excited.
We're
Do
eventually
we
gonna
have
have
any?
to.
Do we have any big plans that we can tease?
We should do a New Year's resolution goal show.
Oh yeah. That's a
yeah,
good
let's
idea.
do it.
Make that one happen, guys. And talk about our ambitions for the year and the upcoming season. What we want to do, what our big thing's gonna be.
Okay. You trying to throw it out next week then? Same bat time, same bat channel, or what's up?
See somewhere between now and the end of the year for sure. We're gonna
I'm
make
here
sure
to
that's
commit,
next.
but I don't think we need to do the planning with our dear listeners listening on to our planning.
That's right. We'll leave
So,
everyone in a bit of suspense. It means we probably come to a reasonably good place to end this particular episode so they can
I would say
ruminate.
it's more than reasonable. It's
I had a good time. I'm not sure how we got here, but my car is here, so I better get out of here.
It's been a journey. Well, dear listeners, remember, guys, if you made it this far, you should probably owe it to yourself to like, subscribe, contemplate just
Click the
buying
bell.
too much
Life.
merch.
Yep.
Click your links, telling your
Right.
friends, telling your enemies.
Does
Write
Christmas
stuff
gifts.
with your
seven.
mouse.
Write 7 words about what army you want or what units you want in the comments. It's the
Yeah.
algorithm crap. The more you do it, the more it helps us, and it doesn't cost you any money to do it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
If you write me a poem, I'll respond.
Yes, we'll make sure he responds.
You have it on the episode. It's become reality. It's good.
All right.
Oh, wait, we
Oh,
have
wait.
a last word, right?
Oh,
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Ew.
Nice.
boing.